right, man. Welcome back to Gold Standard Culture, Chris. Another Warriors reaction, recap, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. Big game yesterday, man. Again, this road trip for the Warriors is quite a test. Going back to last season and just trying to get rid of all the issues that the Warriors developed on the road. And I know we've talked about it at length for the past year and a half regarding the Jordan Poole Draymond situation, the youth, not enough vets, big, whatever the case you want to make for why the Warriors had such issues on the road last season. Even though the roster definitely looks like it should be performing at a far higher level than it is, the worry is still there that some lingering habits on the road might be there. And luckily, at least as of right now, they're 2-0 on the road. They beat the Rockets 106-95. Sacramento's technically road, but at the same time, it's still Northern California, so I don't like to 100% classify that as the road. And that's not to disrespect Kings fans. They've got some of the loudest, best fan bases in sports, really. And like the beam and everything. I know they beat the Lakers in OT last night, so they've got themselves a stadium and everything going for them. But that's Northern California. It's still kind of home for both sides, whether the Kings go to Chase, and vice versa. Going to Houston, however, now you're talking road. Now you're getting on the plane, everything. You know what I mean? It's like an official beginning to the road. And that's where my anxiety starts to lift and starts to rise. Especially because until around yesterday, like 4 or 5 o'clock, or the day before, like 4 or 5 o'clock, we were still unsure if Draymond was going to start last night, or if he was going to start today. Today, the Warriors play the Pelicans on a back-to-back. Draymond did start, and Chris Paul came off the bench. Everybody, including myself, worried about Chris Paul. Will he be willing to come off the bench? Seems like he is. Played fantastic. We'll get into the box. You already know. But Draymond, I think he looked good in his return. There were some timing miscommunications, but that's to be expected. Anytime someone's, it's like first game, trying to break out the kinks and dust off the rust and all that good stuff. Draymond still played well. He only played 21 minutes, so he wasn't out there for 2-3 months down the road. Will be his normal output. But he still looked good. Still had his typical Draymond impact, just a few passing errors and whatnot. But that's also to be expected from Draymond because he just sees the game at such a high level, and he's sort of the opposite end of great minds in the league. Not that he's a bad mind, but just like Chris Paul, fantastic mind, plays slow. Draymond, fantastic mind, plays fast. So turnovers are a little more common with Draymond than a guy like Chris Paul, of course. However, this was a close game. It wasn't the second quarter. The bench just took off. The Warriors starting lineup kind of struggled the first 3 quarters up until the fourth quarter, where Steph really took off. The struggles, it's just the shooting and the communication. Again, right now, even though Draymond's played with these guys for so long, you still need a couple games to get back into rhythm and get back up to game speed. So that was to be expected. The Rockets are a young, hungry team. They've got guys like Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, Jeff Green, some good veterans on that team to balance out the youth. They drafted Amen Thompson. They've got Jabari Smith Jr. in his sophomore year right now. They've got Alperen Şengün, who's a young, up-and-coming, in my opinion, potential superstar center. And, of course, Jalen Green, who also up-and-coming star. We know what this team is capable of. You see the flashes all the time. We saw him even with, the abuser last season and the season prior. So, the Rockets have something brewing. Also, Ime Udoka at the helm there. But the Warriors stayed composed, played through mistakes, and held through again up until that mid fourth quarter where Steph came back in and just took over the game. That seems like it's kind of going to be a thing again, which is not a bad thing, because now, instead of before where it's like, okay, every time Steph goes to the bench, things fall apart. Now it's like, Steph goes to the bench, we're pretty okay. Dario was kind of getting picked on. We know that Houston has just a shitload of athletes on their team. I mean, go back to last season. I mean, right now they've got Jayshawn Tate, who's one of those Swiss Army knife guys. They've got Amin Thompson, who's a monster. Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff, still just a beast of an athlete. Don't know how, but he is. Jalen Green, obviously. Dylan Brooks can get up. Jabari's an athlete. Like, they've got a lot of guys that can break the paint on a consistent basis, and so that was going to be a tough task for not only Kevon Looney, who I still think held his own, but a tough task for Dario Saric, who is not as good a defender as Kevon Looney, and Draymond being on a minutes restriction and it being his first game back, kind of going to be a bit of a tough ask to see, peak all defense Draymond. So midway through the game, the Rockets started just going to the cup. They stopped shooting, which is the right move. You want to take advantage and try to get the Warriors in foul trouble. And like I said, man, they're holding up on the road. I mean, also, I'll get into the numbers here. I want to look at the free throws. And 18 of 19, great job, Houston. A lot of guys that aren't elite shooters. For them to, be 18 of 19, that's still great to see. But you held them to 19 free throw attempts. And you shot 23 free throws. We all know the discrepancy for last year. One of the worst fouling teams in the league, and then dead last in getting to the free throw line themselves. Each game, the Warriors have not fouled a ton, and they've gotten to the line. For the Warriors, a decent amount. 23 free throws for the Warriors is spectacular, but overall, they're playing a lot better and playing more within the game. And again, that comes with the veteran presence they have. It's not this, okay, who's gonna have what role, all this stuff. I don't know where Jordan stands. Like, it's a lot more. There's a lot more continuity, I think, this season. We're already seeing that second unit kind of take form. We've seen Chris Paul, of course, even when he was starting the first two games. He was really, playing the bull. He was playing with the starters, but he played a lot of his minutes with this second unit of Dario, Kuminga, Gary, Moses, sometimes slot in Clay or Wiggins or Loon. Like, just plug and play, but most of the bench guys. And it's because that's what you want to see. You see the plus minuses here. The starters kind of having a rough night. Wiggins is still trying to find his rhythm offensively. He started off again on a good note, going to the rim. He had some aggressive moments. I like the 4 or 5 from the free throw line. However, the shot's still not there yet. Gonna take some time. I hope he could get it back. I can't imagine he won't. But so the bench had to do some of the heavy lifting, and you see that second quarter, 31, dropping a cool 31 in the second quarter, put the Warriors up 10 at halftime. They really did a good job at giving the starters something to build off of and head into halftime with, and that went from okay, now we've got breathing room, which in that Kings game, same deal. You have breathing room. I think they scored in the Kings game, 36 in the second quarter, 39 in the third quarter. They obliterated with the second unit, and they did it again here tonight. And one of the things I don't know if I mentioned it with Dominic on the podcast, which side note, apologies. I know I said Sunday. time's kind of getting mixed up here for us. But Tuesday night, we are doing it. It's for certain. Been scheduled. Everything's good. Tomorrow night. But back to what I was saying. I think we talked about it when Chris Paul first got traded to the Warriors. Is the thing where the Warriors play super fast. So you're preparing to play against the Warriors, and the Warriors play that super fast-paced, high ball movement, high execution basketball. The beautiful chaos, as we like to say. But then when Chris Paul comes in, it's like a running into a brick wall. It's just a dead stop. And now you're playing slow, pick and roll, plotting, scheming, moving guys. It's like chess with him. Whereas the Warriors, it's just constant movement, and guys are getting confused. Switches are getting botched and everything. And I think that transition from fast to slow is helping the second unit gain ground, because now the defense is like moving too fast. They're overshooting stuff. They're moving too fast offensively to play within the flow of the game. And then you've got, Gary Payton coming up with big steals, Kuminga coming up with steals. Warriors are getting out in transition. Then Rockets finally slow down, right? Now they're starting to get back into a rhythm. But then Chris Paul comes up, starts plotting, starts getting things rolling, getting to his little elbow, his mid-range shot. And the starters come back in. And now it's fast-paced, and now it's super speed again. And that's where the lead extends to 10. So this kind of duo of, pull, pick kind of thing that the Warriors are doing, it's going to cause problems for teams. And, for a team like Houston, who's, for the most part, very young and athletic, if it's causing problems for them, saw it cause problems for Sacramento. Phoenix, the only issue was the Warriors just couldn't make a shot. If they had made just like 5-6 more of those, they win. This is going to be an issue for teams, because they do a lot. It's hard to guard. One of the interesting things in this game for me was Fred VanVleet and Ime Udoka have finals experience against the Warriors, of course. Fred on the Raptors team in 2019, Ime in 2022 with the Celtics. You'd think this team would be elite, or I wouldn't even say elite, but just really good at kind of neutralizing the Warriors' split actions and little rub screens and dribble handoffs and all these little sets they like to run to get Steph open, Clay open. All night, they couldn't stop it. No matter who it was, Houston couldn't stop it. The matchups were really weird. Fred was guarding Steph a lot. Dylan was just, Steph missed a few early. And I think it was like 1 for 5 at one point. But for the most part, they just could not hold any of these actions together. And that was a huge issue, because the Warriors just kept doing it over and over and over again with everyone on the roster. So, and again, that just meshes into the bench, because you see Chris Paul with the plus 22. If he pulls in a couple of these starters, finding Clay for a couple of them, he found Steph for a couple. I think he got Wiggins one. It's really difficult to stop for a team that already, tends to lead the league in assists. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. It was a tough matchup for Houston, but also a tough matchup for the Warriors. It was just, luckily, you have 30 on your team, because I did want to get into that fourth quarter. I think it was 85 or 86-85 Warriors led, and I think either a rebound or a steal or something. Jalen Green gets out in transition, super athlete, goes in, head guns blazing, tosses one up and one layup, building erupts, 87-86, Houston leads. Steph checks in and just ends the game. Just ends the game. If you watched, you know what I'm talking about. It was just over in that fourth quarter. Steph came in, I think the Warriors went on a 14-2 run to close things out until like garbage time. Steph dropped 4 threes in a row, including triple juking Dylan Brooks on one possession. He hit him with 2 behind the back crosses, and then pump fake, let him fly by behind the back, hit him with the home alone celly. It was fantastic. You love to see it. Steph went off in that fourth quarter. The 24 points, 6 of 14. He was not having himself a night before then. He was the only one that was really kind of cold. Again, we know Wiggins is still finding himself, but he was really the only one cold. So that fourth quarter was just fucking crucial and just vital to the Warriors winning this game. So shout out Steph, because that was ultimately what sealed the deal. I mean, players have talked about it so many times how demoralizing it is when he gets rolling, because the shots that he makes are just ridiculous. No matter how you guard him, it's just they fall. He gets it off so fast that you just have to sit there and like twiddle your thumbs because there's nothing you can do. So it was a great game for Steph at the end. Clay is coming into his own again. Another big night, another efficient night, and playing within the game, not forcing shots, just playing within the flow of the game. 7 of 12, 5 of 10 from 3. That is a great Clay game. The defense was rocky, but like I said, Houston's not a great matchup for this Warriors team. For Kuminga and Moody, okay, and Gary, those dudes are athletes. They can handle it. Draymond, when he gets physically in his peak self in a couple months, I'm sure Houston would be a better matchup. But for the most part, the young guys are the ones who are going to thrive most defensively here. Clay was getting burnt by Draymond Green, backdoor cuts, slips, all this stuff. It is what it is. I didn't expect Klay Thompson to have a good defensive game tonight. It's not like the Kings where, okay, Clay can just get on Herter and deal with that, or get on Keegan and deal with that. It's, guys who, yeah, they move a bit, but for the most part, they're not someone that's going to, fly by you at 100 miles an hour. You don't really want Clay on De'Aaron Fox kind of deal. So not mad at Clay for the lack of defense here. We know that's just, he's not the same defender that he was. That's not his fault. It's just, his legs. But still getting on the glass. I liked Wiggins' quote after the game. I forget exactly. Here, let me find it real quick. Here it is. From Slater. Andrew Wiggins hasn't closed 2 of the first 3 games. The quote is, "The coaches make a decision that's best. We won the game. As long as we keep winning, I'm fine. I got to give them a reason not to take me out. Rebound more. I can do more." That's what you want to hear. Like I said, Wiggins, right now, looking at the bench, and Moses Moody last night didn't shoot particularly well. But he shot incredibly to start the season, so I don't even care that he shot 1 of 6. But him and Kuminga combined have outplayed Wiggins. That's kind of what their role is, hey, got Andrew Wiggins, and now we need you to come in and be, the Wiggins off the bench, the combined Wiggins off the bench, and they've really carried the ball, but Andrew just has not done enough to make up for just not really being the scorer we know he can be. But anyways, we talked about Kuminga, Moody, their impacts they've had, obviously, again, trying to make up for, or not make up, but just be that Andrew Wiggins type punch off the bench. But Gary Payton II, man, we talked about the defense briefly. Offensively, probably a career night for him. I think this was a career night for him in general, especially the fact that he did it all in sub 20 minutes and it was a plus 13. The box score says it all. 15, 4, an assist, 3 steals, a block, a hilarious block over Fred VanVleet. Only 1 foul, 3 of 4 from 3, 6 of 8 from the field. Like, that's just, he had a buzzer or a shot clock beating 3 off 1 foot. He had another clutch 3 with the shot clock almost running out. He had a corner 3 when the Warriors were stalled out offensively. A couple transition lays. Like, the dude's he's been killing it, He had a bad matchup against, who was it? I think it was Sacramento, where the matchup just wasn't the best for him, at least offensively speaking. But tonight, he was just everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And, one thing I like, and we talked about it with Phoenix, having a guy like Josh Okogie, is every team benefits from having one just do-it-all little like hustle guy like Gary Payton II. Again, Josh Okogie being one. I thought Malik Monk could be that. I mean, we saw last night against the Lakers, like Malik Monk can go off, but in terms of just like do it all kind of, utility Swiss Army knife guys, the Rockets have one, and that's Jae'Sean Tate. Interestingly, it says here left lower leg strain for Tari Eason, but Tari Eason's another one for this team. Just a very kind of, there's no real ultimate strength. He's just good at everything, or at least decent at everything, and makes the hustle plays, winning basketball plays. But you see Jae'Sean Tate here, offensively, not the best. We know that. 2 of 6 from the field, but 8 rebounds, an assist, a couple steals, a couple blocks, played some good defense. Like, the plus minus doesn't do him any justice, but Jae'Sean Tate is one of those Swiss Army knives, and every team benefits from having a guy like that because, again, especially to start last season when the Warriors didn't have Gary Payton II, like Dante had a hamstring thing, so he was out. The Warriors just did not have a guy that could come in and just make winning basketball plays in minor minutes. They just didn't. And Wiggins had his issue as well, so it's like there was nothing that the Warriors could do to really bring a punch off the bench that's not offensive. And so having Gary there, where it's like, okay, he could potentially get you 15. You shouldn't expect it, but on a night like tonight where they needed every last point, he provided it. But the defense was spectacular, and he got on the glass a bit. He made some winning plays as far as reading passing lanes, blocking some shots at the rim. Like, these are things, not fouling. These are things that help you win basketball games, tight basketball games, especially on the road. And to continue to see him just be like getting back to what he was in 2022, vertically speaking, I don't know if Gary is still that peak of an athlete. I haven't seen him have one of those, crazy posters yet. Maybe he'll get back to that. I don't know. Same with Kuminga. Surprisingly, no posters yet. But I've liked what Gary's done so far. He had a fantastic career night last night. Super happy with how he played. Dario, another bit of a rough night from the field. Still, the rebounding was huge, extending possessions, him and Kevon really helping there. And just the rebounding in general. The assists, we know he had a couple of them where they were the little dribble handoffs with Chris Paul, getting a couple to Steph, Clay. Like, he's a fantastic passing big man. It was the same thing with Bielitsa in the playoffs, like getting a guy who's just comfortable with the ball, that doesn't have to be a guard, that can invert the floor a bit. It's pretty crucial. The fouling, nothing tonight. Last night or last game against the Kings, Dario got into foul trouble pretty easily or pretty quickly in the third quarter, so Trace had to come in. Last night, none. And that was with Houston really getting to the rim with ease in that third quarter. So just a pretty good game from everyone. Like I said, starters, some struggles, mostly having to do with, Draymond's got a little bit of rust. Getting the offense clicking, at the same time has still kind of been a little bit of a struggle, but they're getting back to it. Wiggins still trying to find himself. This team is not at 100% yet, and like I said, probably gonna be a while, but when they get to their peak form, they're gonna be very dangerous, very, very dangerous. When Steph really heats up, he's already heating up, but he just came off a 41-point game, carrying the fourth quarter here, dropping 24, 7, and 6. Clay's had 2 great games back to back. Loon's playing Kevon Looney basketball with double-digit boards every game. Like, Chris Paul's been a net positive everywhere. They're gonna be just fine. And I like what they're looking like in the West here. So, this was a good game, and now, we talk about Swiss Army knives. Now they got to go into New Orleans on a back-to-back. I saw that I think Steph and Kuminga have some soreness and are listed as questionable for this game. Draymond is listed as probable. I expect them to play. Again, we have the new resting policy thing that the league put into place. So the every back-to-back all-starter sit, I don't think is going to be a thing this season, especially because now you're not, you're not in a spot like you were last year, where it was just like, if one of our starters is out, we can't compete. Now it's like, yeah, every game, I like what we've got. So let's go in here. New Orleans undefeated right now, 2-0, healthy, which is a big thing for them. Zion's playing, Ingram's playing. I think Alvarado's the only one out. Obviously, they lost Jackson Hayes in the offseason to the Lakers, but they've got themselves a good squad too. Like, we know how good they were last season before the injuries hit. So a healthy Pelicans team is definitely difficult to deal with. So this is going to, again, be a big test for the Warriors, having to deal with, okay, Houston, pretty athletic team, but now you've got Zion, who's just an animal himself. So that's going to be a huge test for Draymond, who's going to only be playing in his second game back. Kevon Looney, going to be a test for him because he also has to deal with Valanciunas. Wiggins, he's going to have to do a number here on Brandon Ingram. So is Kuminga, potentially Moses Moody. You also got to deal with Trey Murphy, who could shoot. I think he's playing. I know he got hurt in the offseason. I don't know. He might be out. If he's out, my bad. But then Herb Jones, their Swiss Army knife. You got to be careful about him. Again, we saw in that Phoenix game, the Warriors really got killed on the offensive glass, so that's going to be something to watch out for. Got to get a body on Herb Jones. Going to be a fun game, man. It's going to be a fun game. But getting into Houston a little bit, like I said, Houston, they've got a lot of guys. Şengün, potential star. Jabari having himself a better season last year. A little bit of an underwhelming rookie year, but that Houston team, it's hard to judge anyone. It was negative chaos. Jalen Green, still same, high volume, inefficient scorer. A lot of flashes, but yet to pull it together completely. So seeing that kind of continue is going to be pretty big. But Jalen didn't play horribly. I like him getting on the glass more and really using his athleticism. Typically, Jalen's like a 23-3 kind of dude. So I like Ime getting him to use his athleticism to the team's benefit. Turnovers, a little rough, but when you're putting the ball in a 21-year-old's hands, that's what you deal with. Fred did not play very well. Again, he had a lot of guarding Steph Curry, so come on, you can't expect your number 2 guy to play at his best level when he's having to, as a 6'1" guard, put most of his energy into stopping Steph. That's just not fair to him, and Clay. So Şengün played great. Şengün's just dirty, man. This dude, they call him Mini Jokic for a reason. He is. It's true. Spectacular playmaker. Great glass guy. Great offensively. Has the post game. Could shoot the ball. Good touch around the rim. He's just an all-around good player. The defense is not the best, but he's also kind of a smaller big. I think he's like 6'9", 6'10". So not the biggest athlete out there. Dillon Brooks didn't play too poorly. I like Dillon Brooks in this game. 2 of 5 from 3. Be happy with it, Rockets fans. He is an inefficient guy. The shot selection is just the only thing you got to watch out for. That was his big problem in Memphis. However, to his defense, Memphis just does not have shot creators outside of Ja. That's the reality. You could say it's Desmond Bane. No, it's not. Desmond Bane is not a number 1 on any team. Don't care. No, he isn't. Neither is Jaren. Those guys are good, surrounding pieces. But the shot creation needs to be improved for Memphis. So Dillon Brooks, he has the, mentality of I'll go take shots. But when Dillon Brooks is the second guy on your team that's like, yeah, I'll take the initiative, that's not a good thing. But in Houston so far, I like the looks he's getting. I'll make some of them. But you got him for his defense, and as well as he defends, the fouling is something you got to worry about a bit too, and of course the tees and the mouth. But I think he's okay. I think he had a good game. a game to be expected of Dylan Brooks. So, yeah. Jabari Smith Jr. I was very high on him in last year's draft. To me, he felt like kind of in the Evan Mobley category of like ready for right now. However, that did not look to be the case last season. Very inefficient. Nothing really falling for him. Defensively, some worries there. But so far to start this season, he's having a much better sophomore showing. 14 points tonight, 8 boards, 5 assists, a couple steals. Defended pretty well around the rim. Like shooting it efficiently. I know the threes were a little bit off, but as a center or a power forward, 2 of 6, you live with it. But 6 of 12 from the field, getting to the cup. The mid-range shot, he had a couple post looks over Draymond, which is impressive. And I think Kevon on one of them. And he was a plus 12, their highest on the team. So, pretty good showing here from Jabari Smith Jr. And I just hope he continues to get better, because if he can really elevate himself this season, again, Houston can be kind of a problem in the West. It's just going to depend on, can Fred get back to where he was a couple years ago? Can Jalen Green take that next step in his game? Can Jabari Smith take that next step in his game? Because if that happens, Şengün's already nasty. You know what you're getting from Dylan Brooks. You're going to be a good team, man. They've got some depth. They've got some young pieces. I like him in Thompson. Everybody questioned the offense for the Thompson brothers. I think they'll be just fine. Like Asor's a little less of a little bit less on the offensive end than Amen is, but they're still both very viable. Great defenders, great in transition, good on the glass, high impact guys. Reggie Bullock can hit some shots for you, like we talked about with Jae'Sean Tate. Great little utility guy. They've got names. Cam Whitmore didn't play, surprising, but we know he can be a spark plug off the bench. Aaron Holiday, he can be a little bit of a spark plug. They've got guys, man. They've got guys. So I think they have Nick Williams. That's interesting. I don't know if that's Nick Williams, who was on Charlotte. Dominic was high on him as a scorer in this past draft. So, yeah. That's going to do it, though. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, Warriors now play the Pelicans on the back-to-back here on the road at 5 tonight. As it seems, everyone's playing. A couple questionables and one probable, but it seems like everyone's a go for tonight. Yeah, this is a good start for the year from the Warriors. Rockets, not a bad team. Just gotta, they've got some things to answer here, and if they're able to do that, they'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, good game from the Warriors to start off 2-0 on the road. So, like the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate you guys checking stuff out here. Like I said, podcast will be tomorrow with Dominic, recapping what's going on around the league, Thunder games, Warriors stuff. Talk about Milwaukee a little bit, probably Philly as well, Sacramento, like just going over shit. So, if you want to see that, that'll be tomorrow night. Thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.